Yeah. 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 Yep. Down south, Port Aransas on the Gulf of Texas. I got to hold my phone here because I don't have my normal setup. Okay, no problem. Yep. Yes. All right. Yeah, exactly. How you doing? Excellent. Excellent. Doing my best to try. I'm not very good at it, as you probably know, but it's always good, right? Like it's always good, and kids are having a blast, so that's what matters. Well, I was gonna, yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean that's totally happening. So something that we didn't talk about. I mean, we're talking about it overall, but last week, another, yeah, last week. Um, so artist selling, right? We've been having Black Friday levels of sales constantly from artist and photographer websites on our platform, right? We've been talking about that. We've been talking about that. So again, last week, 186% sales growth year over year for the exact same dates, period of time in 2020 compared to 2019, right? Who would have thunk it, right? But again, it just keeps continuing, right? And as that keeps continuing, I was reading an article actually this morning. I sent it to you. I actually sent it to you. I'm not sure if you actually got to it yet, but it was a phenomenal article. But it was talking about how, like, what's really happened. You know how we've been talking about how the lockdowns have accelerated technology adoption by like 10 years. And so this article was talking about like how and why that has happened, right? And what's happened is people, like, why that's happened is because people have formed new habits, right? Like during this time, like there's new habits have been formed in terms of the way people are shopping, right? Where they're looking for products and services, where they're going to be looking for those in the future, how they're doing their meetings. At big companies, like how a lot of the meetings are transitioning, or 100% of them obviously transition to Zoom meetings, but how that's going to be in the future, and how it's going to change. So a lot of habits have changed, and that's what is so interesting, I think, about what it portends for the future of selling art, which is just, it's all good, it's all amazing, right? Because the more that like technology adoption happens, it means that individual creators, individual photographers and artists have more power. They can sell direct more, which means they can build bigger businesses than they ever could have before. And the gatekeepers and the third parties that traditionally have controlled distribution have less power, right? And so it's all good. Every photographer, artist should be embracing it, not sitting here going, "Oh, I hope that the old world comes back. I hope that the old ways come back." No, you don't. Like, honestly, like, if that was your world, I get it. I get it. Like, you want that back. You're like, "Oh my goodness, I can't. I hope all the galleries open up and they're all just as healthy as they were before." And if you're in that position, then it does make sense that you would be thinking that way. But overall, like macroeconomically, this is so good for the individual artist or photographer. It's just not even funny. Like, it's like that we're calling it the biggest advancement, that the art industry has seen in, I don't even know how many years, Pat. This has got to be like hundreds of years, if not thousands, right? Yes. There's just a serious disdain for it. Yeah. Why is that? I hate it too. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's not. And you know it. Yeah. Jim is saying your audio is off on Facebook. Is that possible? Despite that, we still have 24 people on. Is Facebook, are you hearing Pat now?
There we go. Now I've got it. Okay, that should do it. Thank you. Always tell me that. Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. And like I've thought about that a lot before. I'm like, I have such a serious disdain for gatekeepers and middlemen, like a third party. Like and I've thought about like, why do I like, I'm almost like a crusader against it in a way, right? Like, and I think back to why I have that and why you have it as well, and I think it really comes from, early on, being entrepreneurs like at 18 years old, like we were, right? Early on, like just experiencing gatekeepers in every capacity, right? Like distributors, like, back in our old days, it was clothing distributors, right? And then, just like party planners, like it's just every single bit, like you're just running
the trade shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like everywhere you run, and you try to go, you got to deal with a gatekeeper. And then you're like, I got to go schmooze this gatekeeper, and hopefully get in. And if you can't get in, you can't get in. And you're like, this is just crazy. I can't stand this. There's just a wall everywhere you go. And then you got to pay rent. Right? Rent in the form of, a distribution fee for artists and photographers. That's 50% of your sale, right? But like these things are everywhere. And the internet, like you and I get giddy over the internet, like, 15 or 20 years ago, because you saw like, wait a minute, I can have my own store. I can disrupt, the traditional gatekeepers and go direct and build a direct business. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So it is really just an amazing time. It's an amazing time. And I think there were so many photographers and artists who built their business. What we're saying is, you built your business on sand. And if you did it, you did. Because you got really exposed during the lockdowns. But what got exposed during the lockdowns was just a really bad business model. Like it's traditionally a bad business model. The lockdowns just exposed it, but it's a bad business model. And what that is relying on third parties, okay? Third parties, in other words, galleries, whether they're offline or online. Remember, online galleries are Saatchi Art, Fine Art America, art.com, any of those. Those are just online art galleries. That's all they are. Redbubble, yeah, all of those. Doesn't matter, right? Yeah, Etsy, right? And so you're subject to the same algorithm changes that you get offline. An offline algorithm change, right, is when the gallery owner says, I'm not going to carry your work anymore, right? Or your stuff's not selling as well, I'm going to carry less of it. Or, you know what I mean? And so and there's nothing you can do. You can't sit there and plead your case or do anything about it, because they're just going to move in whoever they think is going to sell, and they're going to move out whoever they think is not, right? And so if you are reliant on that, you have built your business on sand, and the rug is eventually going to get pulled out from underneath you, whether that was in the lockdowns or it's a year from now or 2 years from now. Everybody needs to learn you cannot do that, right? It is only a matter of time until the rug gets pulled out from underneath you when you are working only with third parties. Third parties includes these art shows now, right? You rely on the art show to actually exist, and you're relying on people actually attending these art shows. How is that going to happen now these days, right? Like they're still going to go on, but the differences between what is going to sell at those, and I think the attendance, is going to be a dramatic change.
Monty Python has this sketch, right? And I love Monty Python. My dad got me into it when I was like, he just loved it. So I loved it. And they've got this sketch or this bit where the guy's like, they're talking about building a castle in a swamp, right? And it's exactly this concept. It's a premise. And he's like, My dad's dad started building the castle in the swamp. What happened to it? It sank into the swamp. And so his son, then my dad rebuilt it, and that one sank into the swamp. And now we're rebuilding it again. And like the premise is that everything that just happened is going to happen again. There's probably going to be another outbreak. Dr. Fauci's going to come on and say we're going back into lockdown, and I mean, it's going to be a little bit harder to sell this time around. But you know, the large
even though
the game's changed,
even if they don't lock it down, you know that information is going to come out, right? And it's going to create more social distancing. The fear where it's like, okay, we don't need to go to a festival. Like, we don't need to go and walk a festival today, right? And like, just be carrying around goods that we just bought there that are, and then sanitize. It's just a weird situation, right? But that is the biggest thing I think that the greatest lesson ever for photographers and artists, right? It just happened. And it is, don't build your business based on sand. Everyone's been doing it and they got killed, right? And so it was only 2 months or 3 months, right? And it's starting to open back up a bit, but learn the lesson. Don't let it go right over your head and go right back to building the same business. By the way, it's a business model that has never worked, right? Like the starving artist problem is out there, and always has been. Why? Because when you're working with third parties, you're not making the most money from your work. You're not building your own customer list. You're not building your own direct business, and you're getting a 1099 check. You're an independent contractor. They're building their business off your art. They're building a real business. You're not, And so if you got to figure that out, you've got to learn that, right? You can't rely on and furthermore, you can't build a real great business off of art shows, like local art shows. Like you just can't. Like there's an upper limit to that.
You could. It's just not the highest ROI use of your
It's
time.
not. Like it's not at all.
When you've seen The Matrix, like we've seen The Matrix, right? We've seen it. We see what it is now. And driving here, there, everywhere, 8 hours on your feet all day long, then loading the car up, the hotel fees, the booth fees, all the rest. If you understand what's possible, if you can see the matrix, what's possible to do that in a digital capacity without leaving your house, and instead of the booth fees, you put that into your ad budget and you're running ads, and then on the way you keep 100% of the profit and sell direct. Like it doesn't. If you understand, if you can see the matrix, if you understand what's capable with digital marketing and how you can potentially sell your art, and then you understand the perspective of the time horizon where it's going to take you to be able to be successful, it's like two horses running, right? Like, two are going or it's a tortoise and the hare essentially, right? Like, the hare is just taking off down the road and that's the art show route. And you're going to make more money in the short term, but the tortoise just keeps coming and coming and coming and then picking up speed. And then it's like year 2, year 3, your buddy that decided to do the show circuit all year long, you're selling more with none of the costs. It's so clear.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
You know what else? You know what else is like a total pattern that we've seen? Everyone who really took the art show seriously, they almost completely neglected the online because they're so busy. They're so busy and so tired for hustling these art shows and preparing for them and getting inventory and doing everything that's needed that you don't even do the digital piece, which is the way you get the highest ROI, right? On it. There was a study that came out from, I forget who it was. It was Sotheby's or it was somebody else, right? Somebody did a study in the art industry, and it was like, you only are going to capture 64% of the total possible sales when you're at an art show. You need to collect their emails and collect the leads and nurture those relationships, because the remaining 40% roughly is going to come in over the next year or two, right? And so every single show, you need to be doing the digital anyway. Otherwise, you're getting only 60 to 64% of the ROI on your time out of every show. So what are you doing, right? Like you have to, like, it's just incredible. But if you come out of this and you haven't learned the lesson that you have to build a digital business, like you have to learn the digital part and build a direct business, right? Direct with your customers, not relying on third parties, right? to where you built a house on rock, so that I don't know where your head is at if you haven't learned that. Owning your own distribution that no one can take away from you, including a pandemic, including a national lockdown, right? No one can take that away from you. Nobody, no platform. It doesn't matter if Facebook goes down or Instagram, because you'll take your attention, you'll take your following over to the next new platform, right? Why? Because you own it, you know? And so you can easily start transitioning those people over to other platforms with omni-channel marketing, like what we teach, right? You got to move your attention around, and then you'll never be too dependent on anything. And so you do that, and you built a business on rock, right? That's why that type of a business you can retire on it, and you can pass it even to your kids. You'll have your personal brand that you built and all that stuff, and it lasts because there's actually something there. There's a customer list that you own, you know? There's a machine that is producing more leads, more eyeballs on your work in terms of marketing, that somebody can follow and understand what it is that people love about you and how to get more of those people to follow you and love you and to turn those into sales.
Yeah, it's clear as day. By the way, you were driving, you missed. Did you see Tony's live from the drink?
I did. It was awesome. It was awesome. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Now you
nailed it.
More. Yeah. Now go do 1,000.
Yeah, you totally nailed it. I loved it. I totally loved it. That is exactly the type of romance content I am trying to get everybody doing.
Is going live the new email? I mean, essentially it just is, right? Like it just is. I mean, like that's it. It's just a new email. It's just a broadcast.
Yeah.
It's just another way to omni-channel market. Eddie, what is this Eddie question here? Answer that one, will you? I don't really know.
Eddie, he said, who is the computer person I should talk to at ASF to discuss what specs I need for building an ASF business on an Apple ecosystem? Eddie, there's nothing complicated about it. Like, just get a computer, like whatever you want. There's nothing complicated about what you have to do to buy. I mean, you know, you could have a PC, you could have a Mac. You really only need a web browser. That's all you need. And the more, you know, the more advanced of a system you need is, I mean, Pat, like, you know, for maybe he's thinking about like video editing and things like that. Like, but those are just web-based applications anyway, right? Like
it's just,
don't overthink it, Eddie. Like just get a computer. Just get a computer. You're good to go.
I think I remember Eddie. Eddie's been on a couple of the Zoom sessions, but that was the most interesting piece of feedback too in the Zoom sessions. You know, Julian's and you know, I titled it the Playbook because the playbooks are the top of my mind right now, and I honestly believe that our Playbook product is about to go to an 11, right?
I do too.
It's going to be one of the most important aspects of our business. When I say playbooks, there's a bunch of customers on here. They know what they are, but
explain what they are. Explain what they are for everybody who's not a customer.
So, you know, when we talk about marketing at large, there's a lot of individual apps, features, techniques, tactics. It's how to email, how to discount, how to run a show, how to go live, you know, how to run Facebook ads, all of the various different functions of digital marketing. And so, you know, we call them playbooks because it's essentially a step-by-step guide, right? Like, you know, I use the example, my buddy's dad is, he's a pilot, and he's not like he flies for American Airlines, but he's got his own plane and he likes flying it, and that's his deal. And every time when he goes, you know, flying or whatever, he's got this like little like book, and it's this weird book inside this like Velcro apparatus, and he Velcros it to his leg, right? And in the book is literally every single solitary thing, step by step, that he needs to operate the plane. And he's literally got it taped to his leg because it's so important. He can't have it moving around when he's doing it, right? And it's like, okay, you know, test the ailerons. And he's like, you know, he's testing the ailerons, like test the flaps, like, you know, he's testing the flaps or whatever it is. I don't have very good understanding of all the plane stuff, but there's so many switches and things that he's flipping and checking this and checking that. And that's what the playbooks are. It's if you're going to run this, you're going to run that. It's step by step by step by step. So we've had those and they've always been good, but I realized that they can't just be, you know, the technical step-by-step documentation. It's super important to have that. And we have that, which is great. But now we're adding in the commentary, right? It's like,
right. like the entrepreneurial strategy, like that,
Yeah.
like the commentary, right? Like what you really, it's not just a technical document. It's what you really need to be thinking about and understanding when you're doing this thing.
Yeah. A perfect example is like, the how to go live playbook. And, you could say, here's what you do step by step by step. That was playbook number 1. Playbook V2 is now, guess what? You already have all the equipment you need. Don't go out and buy any other crap. Turn the thing on, start talking, and go. You have 1,000 of them to make, right? And so it's not just how to do this. It's the perspective. It's how many of these you're going to do. It's stop overthinking it. You don't need any more crap or equipment. Just do it. Like, right? So, those pieces are what everybody gets hung up on and what prevents everybody from shipping. And you just don't realize the only thing that matters is the shipping. That's it. That's it. Right?
Yep.
And a perfect example, like we have a tactic that we're teaching. We call it the number 1 tactic. And what do we do?
Love this.
We made a great playbook, right? Made a wonderful playbook out of it. It was amazing. Wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And technically it was done. Yeah. Technically it was done. People were getting hung up. They were not taking the first step. They were getting stuck in the weeds. They were getting hung up on the fear of rejection of it, because there's a large amount of rejection in this particular thing. And then what do? We grabbed a customer. We grabbed a customer, put the document up on the screen, put the phone up on the screen, and executed it in real time 15 times in a row with everybody seeing it. And it's like, it basically just gives you, it's almost like it gives you permission to not stress about it, right? To not get hung up on it. It's like, you now have the permission to go ahead and do this. Like, you saw somebody do it. It's like, you know what it is? It's like you're teaching karate on the whiteboard, and then you go out and then you walk out into the dojo and you just start kicking, right? Like boom, 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 boom. See, I showed you how to do it on the whiteboard. Now you got to just start kicking. And then you just sit there and you're like, all right, start kicking, start kicking. It's amazing. It represents such a profound change in our product and what we're going to do and what it's going to evolve to be over, the coming months and weeks and years. So I don't know.
What we're articulating, I am too, because what we're doing with these playbooks, guys, is like, I hate to even call them playbooks, because yes, they are a playbook, but like, they are literally what you and I would do and exactly what we're thinking and how we would approach a specific thing, a specific tactic, right? If we were running your business, okay? And we are very experienced entrepreneurs and building companies, and we're working with 3,500 plus members now at our storefronts, right? And so it's not even what we would do, Pat. It's we are doing it already. This is exactly what we have done with one of our members, right? We did it, and here's the results that happened, and so forth, right? And so it's like, it's a playbook, but it's like, how do you wrap a bow on that? It's a playbook for what I've spent my entire career learning, and we're writing the words, because we found that, like some of the technical step-by-step, some of our team members can help with, but the thinking of how to approach it, right? The strategic, thinking and on each of the steps and all of that turns out to be probably like more important than just the technical steps to follow, because that's where everybody's getting hung up, and to have the high level thinking of what needs to happen, right? When you're approaching a specific tactic, it is extremely valuable. So these things are like playbook on steroids, or I don't know what you want to call it, right? They're literally like ASF leadership strategy in these playbooks. We'll have to figure out what that is, but that is the most amazing part about it, and why I believe
it completely turns on its head. Like, as we continue to grow the marketing team, like who our employees are and what they do, right? And literally day one, you come in, you learn the thing yourself, find a customer, partner, and go put the thing in the water. Because if you don't learn how to run our customer's business and make them successful, you are incapable of teaching. And whatever you're working on, it's the wrong thing. It's almost like that simple. Like the abstraction of that is, it's that simple, right? Like that's it. And it just solves every problem that we have.
Yeah. There was a guy the other day. There was a non-member, and and I was thinking about he was asking, like, obviously had not just learned about art storefronts, didn't really know everything about what we did, right? So we were going through like the process of kind of talking about that. And I was asked, like, or what he said was like, okay, like, how do I justify the cost of the membership fee, right? And we were kind of going through that, and I said, look, right, like, if I go through my bio, right, I don't want to go through my bio, right, but like, and your bio together, right, like our combined experience in entrepreneurship, building companies, and all of that, right, very, very high. You can't hire people like us. You can't.
Yeah.
We're not available as consultants, right? Like, there's not even a price on it. But so what I said is, okay, given that what we have done, both of us combined, right?
Yeah.
How much would you pay? How much would you pay for a live art show playbook? How much would you pay individually to have me to write you the #1 marketing tactic to grow your leads and your sales, right? To acquire customers. How much would you pay me to do that? $5,000, $10,000 to do that for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, individually. How much would you pay me to create you a strategy that you could follow every week for the entire year, right? How much is that worth, right? And sorry, and I don't mean me. I mean you and me. Like, how much would you pay for Patrick and I to actually do that for you, right? Like, and you think about that and you go, okay, so I just want you to realize that we have actually done that, and you can join our storefronts for a one-time membership fee of $1,000.
Yep.
Put that in perspective.
The learning never stops.
There's put that in perspective.
The learning never stops. Who says that? Somebody.
Anyway, so we should mention that we're in the middle of this summer special, guys. Art storefronts, if you want to join, we're running a summer special for June, and get your demo request in to get in at a discounted rate, and do not wait until the last week of the month, right? So next week is like, the third week, or like the second to last week, I believe, right? Will be. And after that, it just is mayhem of people trying to get, in line before the deal ends. So get it in, request a demo as soon as you can. It's always on our website. Big button in the upper right-hand corner of our website to request a demo. If you're on Instagram, it's in the bio, link in the bio, and then Facebook, it's usually in this post. Is it in the post? Oh, we've got it in the ticker. It's right down there below, right?
We have it everywhere. It's in the descriptions too. Yeah, case in point. So Jim, I made $1,300 for your playbook over Father's Day, right? Like, okay, that's Father's Day. That's one sale event. That's one marketing event of what, 30 a year, 40 a year, 50 a year. It's like, if Jim keeps working the plan, his business is going to go, it's going to double, and then it's going to double again.
Absolutely.
Harder to double it, but then he'll be well into the 6 figures, and he's not driving across the world, although that dude's always driving across the world. You're driving all over the place.
The more you do of the marketing that we're teaching, the more you follow, the more you're building your house on rock. That's just the truth, right? Yeah. The more that I can say to any of you guys, right? Jim, you included, like, the more that you do that, the more I know you are going to be well taken care of in the future. It's like, we're a family, the Art Storefronts family, right? Like, I know, and Pat, that if they just follow what we're talking about, you and I can rest assured in 3 to 5 years, like, we know that they are building something that will last and that they can depend on. The less that they do that, the more risk and the more exposed they are. Truth?
Yep, truth.
Okay, hey, my computer is running out of batteries, so I think we got to leave it there. I'm going to get back to my vacation.
By the way, new process. Do we want Jay to export anything from this one?
Yeah, go for it. Ship it.
Yeah,
you know what to do. Ship it.
All right, let's get back to the pool. Bye.
All right, guys. See ya.